Good afternoon. Welcome to the Topeka Development Corporation Board of Directors meeting of July 15th. I'll call the meeting to order. If you will stand as we give the Pledge of Allegiance, as you stand as you're able.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Board President Padilla.
Here.
Vice President Dobler.
Here.
Directors Hiller. Here. Ortiz. Valdivia Acala.
Here.
Banks.
Here.
Kale.
He's joining right now.
Okay. Miller. Duncan.
Here.
And Pope.
Here.
All right, we have 8 present. With Directors Ortiz and Miller absent.
Okay. Madam Clerk, number 4, approval of the minutes.
First item is approval of the July 1 meeting minutes.
Okay. I need a motion from the board to approve the minutes of July 1st meeting.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Motion to approve by Director Dobler, seconded by Director Banks. Take the roll call.
Do consensus, we can do that too.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Passed.
All right. Motion carries.
All right, Madam Clerk, item 5.
5 is discussion on the sale of Hotel Topeka by a third party.
Okay, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you. I will defer to Braxton Copley, our Deputy City Manager, to lead us through this item.
Thank you. The city clerk is going to hand out a letter of intent that we received from a developer. The developer is the Endeavor Group. Endeavor Group is and the attachment was just sent literally a minute ago to those council members that are participating electronically, as well as the council member that is absent. So if you will indulge me, I will just take a second and go through the high points of this letter of intent, or otherwise referred to as an LOI. Endeavor Group is a Midwest-based hotel owner/manager. They currently have 7 hotels in the Midwest area, including Topeka, Lawrence, Columbia, and one of those cold northern states, Michigan or Minnesota. And the one that they have in Topeka is just north and west of 10th and Wanamaker. It is known as the Endeavor Inns and Suites, and it's just north of the Hooters restaurant, to help dial in on it. Now, this particular offer is basically structured as we have discussed many times. The city currently is in to the tune of about $12.2 million in terms of the expenses for operating and capital, as well as the purchase price and the both of the temporary note issues to roll over, both last year to roll that note over, as well as for this year to roll the note over. So about 12.2. So this is structured such that it would reimburse the city for the 12.2 that it is currently out of pocket. And that would include a $1 million cash purchase price, as well as a $11.2 million that would be recouped by the city from the increment to the transient guest tax, as well as a CID, Community Improvement District. So all told, that would be approximately 24 years of TGT increment and about 22 years of CID. The proposal would include rehabbing the existing hotel space, flagging it as a Wyndham Hotel. The brand that they're looking at is Dolce, but there are other Wyndham brands out there, like the one that they have, the Endeavor Inn and Suites. So they plan to spend about $6 million for the rehabilitation of the hotel, as well as they estimate that there will be about another $2 million that they will have to come up with to cash flow the hotel until such time as that they have stabilized it and it is actually turning a profit. Just as a reminder, last year spent about $1.2 million supplementing that hotel, and this year we are on track for about a $1 million, as of today, $1 million in terms of supplementing operating costs. Additionally, this offer is contingent upon the county agreeing to fund the rehabilitation of Manor, that we estimate to be approximately $6 to $6.1 million, based on the property improvement plan that we had our consultant develop for us for the Manor property. That was done as a desktop study. So once you actually roll up your sleeves and get into it, that amount could change. And then the deal is also contingent upon the county entering into a long-term management agreement with Endeavor to give them the rights to market the Manor property, in other words, to rent out the rooms, as well as to capture the food and beverage sales from inside the Manor property, which is the current arrangement that the county has with GF Hotels that is operating Hotel Topeka for us. There is a rental amount paid of $8,000 a month from us to the county, and in return for that, the county is responsible for maintaining that building, including all air conditioning, other parts of that, and then in return for that monthly rental amount, the GF is entitled to capture room rental as well as food and beverage rental. Additionally, Endeavor has asked that, as part of the deal, that the county would agree to enter into a long-term management agreement with them for Expo, Ag Hall, and Heritage Hall. Those currently are under contract until the beginning of 2028 with a third-party entity, so obviously there needs to be discussions between the county and Endeavor. The other significant condition of this LOI is that either the city or the county issue a IRB, or industrial revenue bonds, and there are statutorily 3 different provisions that can be, or benefits that can be extended underneath that. One would be to actually issue bonds estimated to be in the amount of $6 million. So the city or county would only be the issuer. They would not be backed by full faith and credit of the city or county. The market would determine what the rate of those bonds would be, and the sole obligation to repay those bonds would be on the Endeavor Group. And obviously, the bondholders would take a mortgage on the property to secure those. We have a number of IRB bond issues in the city of Topeka that the city has been the issuer but is not responsible for the debt on that. The other 2 provisions under Kansas law that the developers asked for under the IRB is a real property tax exemption for a period of 10 years, which is the maximum amount statutorily that can be given, as well as a point of purchase retail sales tax exemption that would be contemplated to cover the the purchase of the materials necessary in the rehab. And so if you just use round numbers of retail sales tax of 10% and $4 million of the rehab being for furnishings, et cetera, that would be subject to retail sales tax, you're looking at about a $400,000 benefit. That is a quick review of the material terms of the LOI. The Roy Arnold, who is the principal for Endeavor, the president and CEO, was tied up on his Oklahoma property today with his architects and engineers, and he was unable to make it today. He does plan, depending on the will of this body, he will make himself available for August 12th, which would be the first TDC meeting that we could potentially put this on for action, with the idea that if this body is interested in pursuing this offer, we'd authorize the city manager as the executive director of TDC to execute this document, which would then start the next phase, which would be due diligence, negotiations with the county, as well as the negotiations with city staff in terms of the purchase agreement and development agreement that would be the contract that would set forth all of the terms for moving forward. Happily stand for any questions that the TDC board has.
Okay, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Copley, on that CID, would that just be the hotel, or would that be including other parts of the complex there as well?
So, excellent question, Deputy Mayor Kell. We have had discussions with the county about doing a CID on the entire campus, with them capturing the revenue from any sales on the Expo Center, as well as any sales from Ag Hall and Heritage Hall, with the city capturing the revenue from the CID on Hotel Topeka, as well as the Manor Center, because the actual situs for the sales for Manor is Hotel Topeka, because everything is booked through Hotel Topeka. Obviously, the next step there would be for the county commission to take action on that CID as the owner of those tracts, to at least get that started moving forward, and then there would also need to be an interlocal agreement between the city and the county.
Thank you very much for answering that. As some of you know, I'm just playing catch up on this because I've been gone for a couple weeks, but and we just got that information. But that was one thing I was very hopeful for, that we could work out something with the county on that. So thank you very much.
Board Member Heller?
Thank you.
Heller.
Just to understand what the commitment would be, you talked about committing transient guest tax proceeds to help repay the city, the property tax over whatever the base is right now, as well as some sales tax. Could you describe what percentage of each of those three taxes we're looking at committing with this proposal?
So the property tax would actually be an exemption from property tax, but for the portion that we have to pay the state or the school district. It'd be approximately, what, 92%? So it would be property tax, real property tax exemption of approximately 92% for 10 years. Just to clarify on the TGT, the transient guest tax, because that one is a little more complex because there are many moving parts to that. First would be, we would estimate or look back in time over the last 3 years as to what the average amount of transient guest tax revenue that has been paid by Hotel Topeka. and we would freeze that. We would continue to have that pass through. It would be the increment above that that would be used to repay the city. Now, the transient guest tax is currently 7%, but in 2028, it is, the charter ordinance has that dropping down to 6%, and then in 2032, I believe, it would drop down to 5%. So this contemplates the transient guest tax being raised in those out years to the 7% so that we would have that larger increment to repay the city. So that would require a charter ordinance amendment to continue the transient guest tax at the current 7%. And of that 7%, approximately 1% gets split amongst a number of entities. 1% goes to Sunflower Soccer, the remaining 5%, some of which goes to the general fund, but the vast majority of it, and I'll defer to Josh, who has the more accurate numbers, about 80% of it goes to the DTI Visit Topeka.
And so it wouldn't just be, if I could clarify, wouldn't just be a rebate to the project, if you will, of the transient guest tax that's generated from that particular property. It would be all the whole citywide TGT?
No, ma'am. It would be just the property, the transient guest tax paid by individuals staying at Hotel Topeka that would be collected by the city to reimburse itself for expenses that it has incurred to date between the purchase, operating funding, and capital expenditures.
And would those two, and we still have the sales tax, but would they have a dollar cap on them or just a time period cap?
So that would be completely up to the governing body. My recommendation would be that we establish a dollar amount, because then it provides an incentive if the developer can make this property generate revenue and book a lot of events, and they can pay off the $11.2 million increment in year 17, they would be able to capture the rest of that CID until we get to year 22, which is the statutory maximum period of time that a CID can be imposed for.
Thank you.
Dr. Dobrin?
Thank you. I've been involved a little bit in the last few weeks in the negotiations. I'm going to speak in favor of this, and I want to kind of walk back through where we've been. We bought a facility that was not in good shape. I mean, clearly it was in bankruptcy. We bought it to prevent somebody from turning it into the next White Lakes Mall or a couple of other hotels that we can point to around here. And you can argue whether we made a great decision or not. It was the decision that needed to be made at the time. We have entertained a lot of folks since that point in time that have been interested in the hotel, some from out of town, some locally. The bottom line is there's several components to this process that in order to make it successful. Obviously, the purchase price of the hotel, there's the money that needs to be put into it to bring it up to a standard where people want to stay there on a regular basis. There's a lot of pieces that go into it. There's current operating cost, which, as Braxton mentioned, cost us over $1 million a year. Somebody's going to have to cover that while they're upgrading the hotel. We have a developer here who's interested, very interested, and it checks several boxes here. Number one, it's a local for the most part. They have a hotel here. They have one in Lawrence. They have several around. Their headquarters is in Kansas, in Wichita. All the folks that I've talked to have been in the hotel business for a long time. They know what they're doing. So it checks that box. They're willing to flag that hotel. We know that's necessary. And it's a decent brand. It's one of the larger hotel brands around the country, so it's got a lot of folks with loyalty points that would choose to stay here if they came. What I really like about this is it creates a three-way partnership. It's public and private, private being the developer, the Endeavor Group, but it's a partnership with the city and the county to not only improve the hotel dramatically, but also improve Maynard Conference Center and really start to bring back the conferences, the conventions, all kinds of things that we have lost. And I think all of us sitting around this table I can point to several examples of conferences that used to split between Kansas City, Topeka, and Wichita. Every third year it was in Topeka. Brought a lot of people in, spent a lot of money. A lot of those conferences are gone now. They're going twice to Kansas City or twice to Wichita instead of coming to Topeka. They want to come back. I mean, this is the capital city. The headquarters of most of the associations is here, and they want to be here at least part of the time. So we'll head towards regaining that business. The only way to make this a success, I mean, I understand the headline is going to be, you paid $7 million for the property, you're getting $1 million for it. No, we're not. We're ultimately getting $12 million for it. It's going to take some time, but a lot of things we do take time to become successful. The faster it becomes successful, the faster we'll get repaid, because it's a CID and transient guest tax, and the tax exemption that they're going to get is only for 10 years. So at the end of the 10 years, if it's a success, we're going to be getting property tax as well in an amount quite a bit larger than we're getting now. We can't expect, and I think we've figured this out over the last year or two, we can't expect somebody to come in here and pay us $7 or $8 million and put $6 or $7 million into it and keep it going for the period of time it takes to rehab it. It just doesn't pencil out. No private entity is going to come in and do that. So the process we've worked out, the agreement we've worked out here allows them to come in, buy the property, we get a little money to start with. It takes the burden of the hotel off of us, so you can count that as $1.2 million a year we're going to be gaining from this transaction. And we have every hope and everything we've seen so far, the county's eager to jump aboard and become part of this partnership. They will most likely rehab Maynard and the rest of the conference area to match the hotel so everything functions together. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. And frankly, it's time for us to get out of here. What are our options? We don't have a whole lot. And the folks out there that have proposed on this property know that. It's not a secret. We've had lots of folks that say, hey, just give us a hotel and the CID and the transient guest tax and the tax exemption and everything else. Well, we can't do that. We ultimately need to get repaid for as much of the $12 million and there'll be interest and things like that in the future. We're going to come pretty close to a break even with this process if it's successful, and I think it will be successful. These are good folks. They're good business folks. They know what they're doing. It's time. So other than locking the door and walking away or putting it back out for the highest bid or something like that, this is the best option that we've had, and I'll be quiet with that. Mayor, thank you.
Director Duncan?
Thank you. So just a couple comments. First of all, just so everyone's clear, this is now a public document, correct? So everybody can be able to look at it and go through it. I'll just reiterate Mr. Dobler's point, Director Dobler's point about the fact that this will go back on the property tax rolls in 10 years, probably above once it's been renovated what it's on there now. And every study that we've seen, not just from the folks we've brought in, but from everybody who's been had a legitimate interest in this facility, has shown us that once this is flagged, once it is renovated, the reason they all want to make that investment is because they know it will bring back business, and we can't downplay what the impact of just the sales tax revenue alone by doubling the current occupancy rates of that facility will also mean to the bottom line, which aren't even factored into the investment, return on investment here from the private sector. I think this sale upholds the promise I know I made, and I know many others on this council made, which was that we were going to sell it, right? That we were not going to use taxpayer dollars to renovate it, and then we were going to make the taxpayers whole for our investment as we saved it from what we think was not a good future. This deal gets expenses out of the general fund. It ensures that bond payments now are made with other dollars, not taxpayer dollars. And it recoups the funds that we have had to put into it for basic maintenance as it's been owned by the city. It's a reputable hotelier. They have an industry portfolio that provides a name brand flag, which is also one of our priorities and is shown as essential to this market to bring those conferences back. And it does ensure a bright future for what is the capital city's only large conference center. And you cannot be a capital city without a conference center where you can bring in large conferences. This keeps current business in Topeka. It brings new business back to Topeka. It's going to support other hotels who, if you recall, asked us to do this because of the importance of that facility and hotel to all of their businesses, along with other restaurants and retail establishments that stepped in at the time and asked us to make this move. It's going to bring in that new sales tax revenue, and it is going to protect the investment, which is $50 million plus that the county has made on behalf of the taxpayers of Topeka and Shawnee County. So I am confident in conversations I know folks have had with the county that they also are looking forward to moving this forward now that we have a reputable hotelier willing to make this purchase, that they're going to get that deal done. And then we're all going to be able to move on from this knowing that we did exactly what we said we were going to do from day one. So thank you.
Director Banks.
It's exciting news. I like the numbers from both Director Dobler and certainly Braxton. If this company has a hotel in our city currently, I wonder if we could take just a look-see at the hotel that's here and give us an idea of how we can get back to the public with how this entity takes care of the hotel, and that we won't be letting them down on just getting rid of the hotel. I think if we could just take a look, I don't know where their hotel is, I've never been there, but I would like to have an opportunity to do that. I'm not asking this group to have a group session there. I would like to just go by there and just see how the upkeep of the hotel is, because you know that each of us will be asked, if they have a hotel here, what's that hotel like? How are they keeping it up to standards? Those types of things. But I'm excited about the things that we've just heard. Thank you.
Anyone else? Deputy Mayor, you still have your hand up. Do you want to speak, or is it just stuck up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
What I just wanted to let everyone know is, that I know people are hearing transient guest tax, CID. I just want to remind everyone, those are user taxes. Those are people that are going to be using the hotel. So if you're not using the hotel, you're not using the conference center, it doesn't affect the average Topekan. So that's where I want to make sure everyone understands, when they hear the word tax, it's not going to affect our normal citizens unless they go to the hotel or eat there or go to an event there. So I just want that to be very clear, because that was part of my idea thinking when I went to brought up the idea about involving the county and how we can make this one big benefit between the city, the county, and any guests that we have coming to town, because Manor needs some work, and that's kind of my main idea, was if they can get Manor and Ag Hall and Heritage Hall with some of this money and get that going again, then we have a much better complex all the way around. Thank you.
Director Dobler?
Just to tag on to Mr. Kell's comment, it's not only just the transient guest tax on the property, it's the increment of the transient guest tax. Is that correct, Braxton?
That is correct. What we're contemplating is that we would again set aside the amount that the hotel is currently generating per year. We would continue to pass that through to the entities, and it would be the increment above that average. And I would suggest that we look at the last 3-year average of what it's generating, capture that as the increment, and then, or it's the baseline, and then capture the increment above it.
Right, so we're not taking revenue from other entities at this point. Thank you.
Braxton, to Director Banks' suggestion about current property that's already being operated. I've been by there, I've kind of checked out the property. I'm not a hotel inspector or anything like that, but I can't see any issues that would indicate that they aren't responsible in keeping up their properties. But it's probably not a bad idea that between now and when we make a final decision, if anybody's curious, to make a trip out there. But to the real meat of the proposal, I think it shows that we merely made a very good effort at contemplating all those variances that would come into play once we decided that we had found a possible purchaser who is responsible, has a track record of their business, can be easily verified because it's not like they're in Florida or Georgia or whatever, they're nearby. And I have the one thing that I think that isn't the driving factor, but it's something that I think has made its way towards the top, and that is the responsibility that will be shared by the city and the county, that it's a working with rather than waiting on the city that has been been put out there, but it's working with the county that we will be able to put this property together in a revenue producing and very highly anticipated enhancement to our conference abilities here in the city of Topeka, because I have talked to a number of people who said, just open it up and we're coming back. We want to come back. And some of the contracts that have been signed already are because they want to be here in the capital city. It's been noted that because we are the capital, there are a lot of organizations that like to be here, close to the legislature when they're in session, other opportunities that makes it a prestigious place to be. So that's why we have been really careful, and Braxton and I have to compliment you and your team and the city manager of keeping us focused on that end goal of being able to provide a quality piece of property that will be attractive to a developer that will run it for decades. And Director Dobler's involvement with his knowledge of all those things that come together with regards to the CID and the taxes, I'm not seeing a big hole that somebody hasn't asked a question about. Now, somebody will probably have a different take on it, but for my part, I see that the proposal that sits in front of us is something that I would support, and if the rest of the board moves so in that direction, I think we'll start to move to that point where we can finally reach our goal of moving this property into private ownership. Director Duncan.
I'm going to move to approve, Mayor.
Motion to approve by Director Duncan. A second by Deputy Mayor Dobler. I'm sorry. Deputy Mayor Kell.
We can still discuss, Mayor. I just wanted to get the motion on the floor.
Yeah. So,
I will move to allow the city manager to sign this letter of intent and move
That's what I was
forward with
gonna
the
ask,
sale
yeah.
of Hotel Topeka.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah. And you approved the second?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion before we take a vote? Director Hiller and then Director Ortiz.
I just want to thank the staff, the city manager, and the county as well. Our colleagues here around this table in the county. We've taken a lot of flack for it. We felt like it was the right thing to do to hold that complex together at the time that various moving parts collided or aligned. We wanted to keep it open so that what was already committed could continue, and for the most part, that did happen, and it was handled pretty well. And so it's exciting to be at this point. Again, just appreciate everybody, and even people that were upset with us. I mean, it kept us going, and we forced us to fine-tune making sure we did it right, which is one reason we didn't hurry. So appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Director Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to abstain because I came in late, so I didn't hear all of the presentation, and so I will be abstaining.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the letter? Okay, good. I understand. I understand. Just want to make sure you have the copy. Okay. Director Hofer.
I'd just like to know what the process is from the letter of intent onward.
Thank you, Councilmember Director Hofer. The next step in the process would be for the city to enter into negotiations with the Endeavor Group to develop a development agreement that would address the purchase and sale. We recognize that that development agreement will have to come back in front of this body for approval, and we also recognize that that development agreement will have a number of conditions in it that will be dependent upon the county entering into a similar document with Endeavor relative to Manor as to the rehabilitation of Manor, financial commitment for that, as well as a long-term management agreement for Manor. So negotiations, due diligence on their part. There is a inspection due diligence period that will run concurrently while this is going on, and then negotiation of the terms of the development agreement that will come back in front of this body for your approval. And then we would, after that, move towards scheduling a closing date and moving through the conditions of closing.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Director Valdivia-Acqua.
I just want to make sure with the IRB that you're talking about that will either be taken out by the city or the state, and that will be payments that will be made by Endeavor, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So there are really three components to the IRB, and it would be either the city or the county issuing that. So the first would be the bonds, estimated to be about $6 million. The city or county would just be the issuer. The obligation to repay those bonds would not be on the city or county. It would be purely upon the Endeavor Group, but those bonds would be secured by a mortgage in the real estate. Then the other two components of the IRB would be the point of purchase retail sales tax exemption for the materials purchased for the rehab, as well as the 10-year real estate tax exemption that would be approximately 92% of the taxes would be exempt.
All right, thank you.
Further discussion? Okay. Seeing none? We'll take a roll call.
So to restate, the motion is to authorize the city manager acting as the executive director of the TDC to execute this LOI and for staff to move forward with negotiating the terms of the development and purchase agreement.
Yes. All understood? Okay.
All right. President Padilla,
Yes.
Vice President Dobler,
Yes.
Directors Hiller,
Yes.
Valdivia-Acqua,
Yes.
Ortiz, Banks,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
and Hofer.
Yes.
Okay, we have 8 yes with 1 abstention. The motion carries.
Thank you, Braxton, for the presentation and the answers to the questions that we had here. And again, compliments to you and your work that have brought this to us. Okay, Madam Clerk, there's no executive session, right?
Correct?
Any other business to come before this body?
None. No, thank you.
Okay. All right, no further business come before this body. Our meeting is adjourned.